Hello, it's your boy Davidoff. Welcome back to TV shows I watched last week. So, man, let me tell you, Invincible is incredible. If you're a fan of any type of superhero movie, whether it's Marvel, whether it's DC, whether it's Kick-Ass, whether it's, Deadpool's Marvel, but whether it's Deadpool, whether it's the boys, especially the boys, actually. I think you'll like this if you watch the boys and you like the boys. Especially the brutal, maybe I should mention Marvel, maybe the more brutal superhero type movies. Even Watchmen. There's a very good chance you like this. And I even saw like people who don't watch superhero movies, people who don't like superhero movies, who liked the Invincible show. And I gotta tell you right now, this show is insane. 8 episodes of insanity. Season 2 and 3 been confirmed, which I'm excited for, but oh my days. So this is a world of superheroes, and the strongest superhero is called Omni-Man, who is essentially like Superman. Doesn't have heat vision, but everything else pretty much the same. Super strength, everything. Doesn't seem to have many weaknesses. Doesn't seem to have a kryptonite. But he has a son. He has a family, he has a son, and his son, in the episode 1, gains his own powers. He starts to gain the powers of his father, and his father's got to train him. And there's a big twist at the end of episode 1. So his son names himself Invincible. That's his hero name, Invincible. I don't think he's actually invincible, but that's his name. There's some other cool heroes in this. I can't remember the other guy. There was a guy who beat Invincible up really badly with his massive hammer. The lion type guy when they go to that mob boss's apartment. I don't know his name, but he's extremely powerful. There's some really powerful villains. So the action in this is brutal. This is not a kids animated show. It's animated, by the way, but oh my days, the amount of death and destruction. You see the most blood you'll ever see in your life. It's animated though, so it's not so bad. But if you had this much blood in a live action movie, they wouldn't release the movie. They wouldn't release the movie or the show because it would be too bad. It wouldn't even be classed as an 18. It'd be classed as it's unwatchable because it would be that bad. But in animation, you can do a lot more. You've got a lot more freedom. Like in Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War. But oh my days, Invincible, the violence is brutal. People's heads get chopped off, people get blown up, you see guts flying everywhere. It's insane. And the storyline is insane as well, because Omni-Man is not who people think he is. I'm not going to say too much else without spoiling it, but Omni-Man is not the guy everyone thinks he is. But his son is pure-hearted and a good guy, and things collide. If you look at just the cast is insane. Stephen Yeun, J.K. Simmons plays Omni-Man, Mahershala Ali. There's a lot of good cast members in this. If you have Amazon Prime Video, I recommend you watch this because it's actually insane, and it's a great 8-episode season. And the storytelling is something else. The characters are something else. The cast is something else. The animation is something else. The blood is something else. The action, the injury, the gore is something else. If you're lightheaded, you might not enjoy this. But I'm lightheaded. When I see blood, I get really uneasy. But in animation, I can handle it a lot more. It's brutal in this. There's one scene where there's an entire train of people, right? And yeah, the train is coming towards a station. Let's just say a lot of people die, and the way they die is going to shock you, right? It's going to shock you. It's something like you've never seen before. Like superhero movies and shows, there's been so many of them in the past decade and a half, like you lose count of how much they are. So when you bring something new to the table in this genre, you got to do something different, right? You got to do something different that will stand out. This is something different and then some. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's one of the best TV shows I've watched in the last few years, period. It's insane. It's insane. Not just one of the best superhero shows, but one of the best TV shows. Amazon are doing a good job here. They made The Boys, they made Invincible. Two shows in the superhero genre that are different. That also have some similarities. There's their own Justice League exists in this show. There's a lot of characters that are similar to other characters from DC and Marvel as well. There's a character very similar to Wolverine. There's a Wonder Woman type character. Obviously, Omni-Man, Superman. There's a character that looks almost like Batman. There's obviously their own Justice Leagues. There's a Flash character. There's a character that reminds me a bit of Teen Titans, I guess. But yeah, there's also different superhero teams as well out there who try to defend the Earth. And there's alien threats. And there's a lot of crazy elements to it. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, especially if you're a fan of superhero movies. If you're a fan of The Boys, or Kick-Ass especially, like hardcore, or Logan, hardcore superhero movies that have like really brutal action, I think you're really going to like Invincible. I think especially you're going to really like Invincible. But there's a solid show. I've seen people who don't even like superheroes who enjoyed this show, so I think that says something, to be honest, considering how many of these there are. But yeah, it's incredible. Watch it. I recommend it. I also watched the 100 final season. I watched half of it like when it came out, and then I didn't watch it for a while. Yeah, this show kind of lost me a little bit because I loved the show. Had a bit of a cringy start, the first few episodes, but it got really good. The first 4 seasons were incredible. I think after that, they started going off the rails a little bit. Started putting a little bit too much in it, I feel, and it just wasn't as good as it was in the first 4 seasons. If you don't know what it's about the world ending in nuclear war, and the only people that survive are people on the satellites orbiting space. So these satellites, they all combined to create an alliance, I guess, and they can't go back to Earth, obviously, because it's all nuclear power now, and it's unlivable. And for 100 years, they're on this massive joint satellites where they just live. And if you commit a crime, you get thrown into space, for example, because there's not enough people to feed. There's a lot of struggle. But they have kids. Their kids have kids, whatever. 100 years later, those kids are sent down to Earth to see if it's still livable. That's the plot line. But it turns out there are already things and people on Earth, and they're wondering how are these people there? You know, there's a lot of crazy twists and turns, and the first 4 seasons are great, and then seasons 5, 6, and 7, season 7 being the final season, they're not as good. I do enjoy some of the storylines, and I enjoyed some of the characters. Octavia's a personal favourite. Her story arc is pretty crazy. But yeah, the final season I felt might be the weakest season. I still enjoyed season 5 and 6 to an extent, but season 7, half the time I was just not into it. So yeah, I still love the show, but I am glad it's over. That's all I'm saying. I watched the Grand Tour. With this series, I aim for shows that have storylines. The Grand Tour is just, it's just Top Gear. Well, it's not Top Gear, but it's the guys from the old Top Gear making this new show. Their show actually ended, but now they're making specials occasionally. They've made 2 specials. They call it season 4, but it's just specials. They made one special like years ago, and the second special came out like half a year ago, I think. It's the one in Madagascar, right? It was funny. That's all I will say. It was funny. It wasn't as special as old Top Gear specials, but pretty funny. I've never watched the new Top Gear, so I don't know. I can't judge that one. Haven't watched it since the three of them left. But in terms of the Grand Tour, I enjoy it. It's just not as special as the old Top Gear was, but I still enjoy the Grand Tour. And this special was pretty good, but the ending could have been better. I don't like the ending was underwhelming for me. Apart from that, though, quite funny. The thing is, some of it felt scripted, especially with some of the Richard Hammond stuff. Some of it felt scripted. I felt one of the best parts of the old Top Gear was a lot of it felt like it was unscripted, even if it was. This one, there are some parts that felt a little bit too scripted. Either scripted or they were just trying to dramatize things to make things more entertaining. But it felt scripted at times. But I still enjoyed it for the most part. Just didn't like the ending that much. So yeah, but that's not story based. I watched The Simpsons short. They released a 6-minute episode, The Good, The Bart, and The Loki. It involves voices from Tom Hiddleston as well, I'm pretty sure. It sounded like him anyway, sounded exactly like him. So Loki gets banished from Asgard to Springfield. He meets the Simpsons, and some crazy things happen. It's only 6 minutes, but it's something pretty funny. Something worth watching, I think. It doesn't really take that long to watch it either. I watched the Vikings final season. First 2 episodes. Haven't watched the rest of it yet. Well, the final season is 2 parts. It was season 6 part 1 and season 6 part 2. Each part of is 10 episodes each. Usually they go for like 10 episode seasons. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Usually they go for like 10 episode seasons from season 1 onwards. Then they started going season 4A, season 4B, season 5A, and each A and B was 10 episodes each. So it'll be a big 20 episode season split into 2 half seasons. It's what they've been doing for the last few years. And with the final season, no different. 10 episodes first half, which I've seen a while ago, and 10 episode second half. I have seen 2 episodes of that. So far, it's very interesting. It's very good. I really like old-fashioned shows, like Game of Thrones, for example, and movies as well, like 300, Gladiator. Whether it's based on true things or not, whether it's fictional and fantasy like Game of Thrones, or based on real people like Vikings, I enjoy it. I like seeing old-fashioned battles, and I always feel that these types of shows have amazing characters as well. Vikings for me is no different. I haven't seen the ending yet, obviously. I got 8 episodes left, but hopefully it's a better ending than Game of Thrones. I think it will be shortly. But yeah, I love Vikings throughout. And one of the things I love about it is the intro. The intro is amazing. They changed it up for the final season. It's a bit different to what it was, but still. Sometimes you can, when watching things on Amazon or Netflix, you can skip the intro. Vikings is one of the shows where I never skip the intro because it's just such a good song. That's all I'm saying. It's been such a great intro for most of the show, and the final season ending also, you know, the final season intro is different. It's a different twist to it, but also sounds good, but not as good as the previous version. But yeah, the storylines are great. The first episodes definitely shocked me. Some of the battles and some of the things in the story, because this Viking show, it's based on real events and real characters. They even put it on the History Channel sometimes, but it's fictionalized as well at the same time. Not everything is accurate. They do things differently. I think they killed some people off who didn't die in real life at the time anyway. But they based it on like real life battles, real life events, real life characters, real life kings that existed in the past. I think that was really cool. So yeah, that was awesome. That's for sure. And finally, I have caught up on Superman and Lois. I mean, caught up. I've kept up with Superman and Lois and Rick and Morty. What they set up in the previous episode of Superman and Lois was pretty crazy. So the new episode was interesting. How they resolve things and how things go forward. I don't know what they'll do with this show from now, because it felt like a finale. The episode that I just watched. I think it was episode 12 or 13? I don't know. Wait. I watched episode 12. Episode 13 is next week. Episode 12. It felt like a finale, but there's more episodes to come, so we'll see what they do. Rick and Morty, new episodes were great. I really enjoyed them, and there's plenty more to come, I heard, so that's great. So I got to catch up on CW shows, of course, like I mentioned before. The Flash and Black Lightning. Black Lightning's already finished the new season, and The Flash, the finale is next week. So I think I'll catch up on those 2 next. That's what I'll do. And then I got Stargirl. I got like 8 episodes left, I think. And obviously Vikings as well. I got to watch. Legends of Tomorrow. Dynasty. There's a lot of CW here. Also, I got to start Fargo soon. And Doom Patrol. Yeah, that's some good shows on my list. So, yeah. But I think next up I've watched the CW shows. So, that might be what the next episode is about. This is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and see ya.